Hey there, welcome back guys. Today we're going to be going over remote ID. That's right, some of you guys are on the fence, some of you guys are on board with it, and there are many different variations of remote ID modules out there. Now I haven't gotten one yet, but I plan to down the line when they make them a little bit smaller, because right now they're big, they're clunky, they're chunky, and I haven't found one yet that you could actually solder to the flight controller board that'll allow you to work via GPS too. I think there's one out there made by Drone Links or one of the other companies, but it's still iffy. But without any further ado, let's get started. So the remote ID is a modular that goes onto your drone, and it's basically sort of like a license plate that will let anyone know who that operator is in the sky. They'll simply be able to launch their smartphone and work their magic and track you. And a lot of people are sort of on the fence. Some are on board with it. Some are like yay or nay. For me, I was on the fence in the beginning. I'm still a little bit on the fence. It's a touchy subject. I know Drone Tag makes the drone BS. I guess the bullshit version of it. I mean, because everyone thinks it's BS, but it was set to launch in September, but then somehow it's gotten delayed, which is actually good because I actually have a cinewhoop I've been wanting to fly for many months, but I haven't. And then I reached out to GEP RC just to find out that there's no remote ID on it. So I'm hoping that between now and then, the remote ID will be more advanced, and actually the modulars will be smaller, right? So that you could actually attach it to your flight controller and fly it. Right now I'm flying the Mavic 3, even though you might think like, oh my god, that's really far, but you could actually see it from far away. So I guess it depends on your vision too, because even though I wear glasses, I can still see it and track it. So you have to be able, but let's say where the drone is now, if someone's walking by as far it is, what is it? It's about 1,000 feet away, 1,300 feet away, and I can still see it, which is pretty good. But anyone can bust out their phone and be like, who is that guy? Especially if you fly like me with the FPV, you'd probably want to break out your phone and say, who the fuck is flying that drone? But in a sense where you're just having fun and flying recreationally, that's where the drone tag would come in. But unfortunately, I think I have my eye on the Spectrum RC airplane Sky ID. I'm wondering if that will work. That one you can actually attach power to it, and you'll be able to take out your phone and see who that pilot is. But I need something more that'll bind with the flight controller, and you can just take out your phone and work your magic. But right now the remote IDs aren't there yet. They're big, they're clunky, and it's going to take a little bit of time. But it's a good thing to I don't know, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing. Some people are concerned that they're going to know where I live and rob me and steal my drones, or they're going to know who I am and say I was flying there when I wasn't. Maybe the data is batch processed. So there are a lot of ifs and buts and concerns that people have when it comes to the remote ID. But the good thing is a lot of manufacturers and vendors are coming up with their own version of it. So by the time remote ID does launch, down the line, when it's supposed to, looks like we have 3 minutes left into our flight. 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And there'll be more options out there, and they'll be more affordable. So you won't have to spend $500 on a remote ID module, because there are a lot of FPV devices out there that don't have remote ID. And the last thing you want, even though I'm new to FPV, a lot of things that come to play is weight. You don't want your FPV to be too heavy. It has to be the right weight. If it's too heavy, that changes everything with your rates. And if your rates are off, the drone's off. So I could understand that. And of course, making it a little bit lighter. So I think down the line, it's going to be, more affordable and more convenient when it comes to actually putting these remote ID devices onto your FPV drone or any other drone. I mean, DJI makes their drones and somehow it's built in there, and their drones are pretty small, but you don't see it. You probably have to find a teardown video to actually see how big the module actually is. But it's kind of like opening up Pandora's box, or maybe it just won't go the way it has planned. Maybe remote ID will launch and it'll just be a thing of the past. Maybe they'll cancel it and all drones will just have it for the sake of your purpose. Maximum altitude reach, and I'm not even. See, that's another thing. I'm not even touching the controller, and it's still moving. 392 feet. Looks like I have to bring it back on my own. It's fine. I'll bring it back. Why that happened, I don't know. So that's why you always got to pay attention to your drone. It's actually behind me, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so as you can see, I had a waypoint flight set to go, and somehow it just stopped. It should have continued on, and then it said maximum altitude reach. See, I had 10 and 11 points left. So at any given time, bummer. It could be part of the remote ID update. And speaking of remote ID, if some of you guys want to know what it is, so you can't see remote ID until you've actually landed. If you have a look here and see aircraft not in flight, vision systems and obstacle avoidance disabled, remote ID functionality normal. So it's kind of weird how you can't see the remote ID functionality, status right there when you're flying, and it just says fly with caution, which is fine. I tend to try unless there's an obstacle like a bird or heavy winds, but then I usually don't go out with heavy winds, but birds are just an anomaly. So what you do is you press there, and then you can see it. And on every drone, I think on the flight controller for the Mini 3 Pro, it should be the same, which is kind of neat. So we have return home altitude, which is really nice. You can set that really fast if you want maximum altitude, which is of course 393 because you can't fly more than 400 feet. So I always set that before my flights, and if I go back, I can just click exit without saving because I have to. Oh wow, there's another firmware update, and I had just done one, so that could be why. So I click on Go Fly, and you have here, see, 14 minutes until return home, 17 until forced landing. Great, and you want and 19 until battery depleted, which is a little weird. So I've had 19 minutes, but 14. Oh, because it's buffering. It's leaving room to return back home. All right, and then if I have my RC strong signal, if I click there. That's normal vision sensors, which is great. Thank goodness those don't have to be calibrated. And I don't see the remote ID. Usually it's there. I know that on the Avata, you can just press it and see all your settings. And there's my height, and there's my map. But anyway, enough of that. So what do you guys think? Are you guys on board? Have some of you changed your mind with remote ID? And what's your take on it? Are you going to go cinewhoop? Cinewhoop, you can basically, no one's going to know who that guy is in the air. Let's see how fast this thing goes, though. I believe it can go up to, I'm going to start down there. Let's see. 33, 34, 35. I got 40 ones. But I went down the street. Flying backwards, it's never going to go its fastest. Right now it's above me, in case you're wondering. Here, I'll show you where I am. You might think like, wow, he's flying far away. But in an open field, you can fly as far as I was, 1,500 feet, 1,000, however far away. It's a nice picture. The drone said I was, because you can see it. It's when you're not in an open field where it can get tricky. I kind of like this one. Let me see if it'll zoom out. Bummer, it won't zoom out. So, you know what you do if you can't zoom out? You just keep going up, 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 up. So this is what's great about this field. So 387, that's pretty high. But I've gotten a maximum of probably like 40 miles an hour, 43. Really cool. But I think the wind's going the other way, so it's a little bit tricky. Anyway, let me know what you think. And let's check out some of these drones that have and don't have remote ID.
I'll be back.
All right, so we have the Mavic 3. I'm not sure what's beeping. Something is beeping. Probably this off the RC controller. Forgot to shut it off. All right, so remote ID is built in, works well as you saw in the video, and you can press what needs to be pressed before you launch into the air and take off to see your remote ID status, which is awesome. The Pavo Pico, the cinewhoop, I could see a lot of folks going this way because one, meets the weight requirements. I don't think you have to register unless it's less than 250 grams, something like that, which is a steal, right? For any drone pilot, I'd want to fly something that doesn't have any FAA requirements, and that would be something like this, like your cinewhoop, less than 250 grams. Or less than 8 ounces, no remote ID is required. Or if you're a recreational pilot, right? If you're a recreational pilot, you only need one remote ID. But if you fly commercially, you're going to need a remote ID for every drone you have, which is a bummer. Which is why I'm going to wait, because you see the size of this GPS unit? Look how small that is. It's so chiquito, pequeño. And I think remote ID down the line, you see all these big modules, it's going to be smaller, like the camera. Remember the camera drone when it first came out? So this does not have remote ID, which is a bummer, but I believe it does meet the weight requirements, right? Less than 250 grams or 8 ounces. So I could see a lot of folks getting their very own and first cinewhoop because they're just like, I'm doing remote ID, which brings me back to this drone, the Gep RC. Wow, the box is really hot. I haven't opened it yet. I'm gonna wait to open it until my flying skills get better, because if you've seen my videos, right, and seen me fly this thing, this was actually a birthday present. So I'm just gonna wait with it. So there you have it. Remote ID in a nutshell. Is it really the boogeyman? Something to be afraid of? Or is it change for the better? Are some of you gonna revert to flying a cinewhoop just to remain off the radar if it does launch? Anyway, I hope you liked this video. Remember to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave your comments and suggestions down below, or ideas for other videos. And I'll see you all next time.